What is up, freaks? Welcome back to Tales from the Crypt. It's your boy Marty Bent here for another edition of Rabbit Hole Recap with our boy Matt Odell, who is on another side of this planet. Matt, how are we? Where are we? How you feeling?
What is up, freaks? I am here in Barcelona, reporting in on this gloomy, what is it today? Thursday, this gloomy Thursday.
It's actually pretty beautiful here back in Brooklyn. Beautiful day.
Well, it's gloomy in terms of price. Everyone is down in the dumps.
Matthew. Don't let price dictate your mood. The king of stacking sats is letting price get to him. Speaking of price, the current price is $7,581.63 according to the TFTC.io ticker. Lower than it was this morning. The current block height is 604,803. And the current hash rate is 87.71 exahash per second, which is a bit lower than it was last week. I think it was above 100 when we met last week.
What is it at now?
87 exahash per second.
Is that minor capitulation, Marty?
They have capitulated. All the miners are leaving. That's it, folks. Pack it up. Pack your bags. Sell your sats. We're going home. It's over. It's done. November 20th.
I think Mark Dow told us Bitcoin is dead today. You told us again.
It was fun. Did you have fun? Was it worth it?
What, Bitcoin or Spain?
Bitcoin. Was it worth it? Now that it's dead? What are you going to tell your family? Going into Thanksgiving and Bitcoin's dead? Oh, God, this is terrible.
Both have been very much worth it. I both love Spain. It's actually a fantastic country. I can't believe it took me this long to come here. And, Bitcoin will continue to truck on. But if for some reason it just all the miners decided to capitulate, which is absolute bullshit, it would all be worth it. Absolutely, without a fucking doubt.
Yeah. No, I concur. I think the miner capitulation meme is bullshit. And I also love Spain. The Spanish lifestyle is the way to live life. People are happy there. The siesta, smoking cigarettes in the square as you read, have a little espresso, chocolate croissant. I could get used to that. Eating fatty meats all day. God, they're doing it right over there in Spain.
Yeah, I gave up my siesta today for you freaks, so just keep that in mind.
Well, we're going to make it worth it for you, Uncle Matt. Uncle Matt, that doesn't sound good. I don't know why I went there.
No, we got Uncle Marty, and we just have Matt. Matt he's just some relative that no one knows his actual connection.
Matty Bent, remember I adopted you a few weeks ago. All right, before we jump into it, let's get this out of the way. This episode of Tales from the Crypt is brought to you by the Cash App. As you know, Cash App is the simplest way to send and save money, and now it's the simplest way to grow your money. Introducing Cash App Investing. Unlike investing tools that only let you buy entire shares of stock, what are we doing? We're stacking slivers of shares now. Excuse me. Yes, Cash App lets you instantly invest. I can't believe I forget that every week. As little or as much as you want. This was this way, when your favorite company's stock is just a little too expensive, you can still own a little piece with as little as $1. You can stack stats. You can stack sats on the Cash App now, and now you can stack stonks as well. And because Cash App is directly connected to your bank account, there are no 4 to 5 day waiting periods for inbound transfers, so you can start investing today. Brokerage services are provided by Cash App Investing, a subsidiary of Square and member SIPC. And as always, we're here to spite that dirty man Al. So when you sign up and you use the code STACKINGSATS, one word, you're going to get $10, and $10 is going to go to our friends at Owls Lacrosse, a charity very near and dear to our heart, Owls Lacrosse. When you use the code STACKINGSATS, they're going to get $10. Download the Cash App from the App Store or the Google Play Store today. This episode is also brought to you by our friends at Casa. How confident are you in your key security? What keeps you up at night with your personal OPSEC? Are you up there shivering, thinking about the hardware wallet in your sock drawer? Casa's here to help you. They've drummed up one of the smartest and secure ways to hodl your Bitcoin. No KYC, no altcoins, no no percentage fees on your Bitcoin. No one's standing between you and your keys. So use the promo code TFTC to get up to $250 off potential Casa membership, or hit up their team directly at membership@team.casa for a free demo. Put them through the test with your hardest OPSEC questions. They will help you develop a plan, especially if you're in the Diamond or Platinum membership. That's going to net you 24/7 VIP service. They're going to have a dedicated client advisor and custom onboarding and OPSEC plan. And all members will get a full set of hardware wallets for your multi-sig setups, plus Casa's node, Faraday bags, and early access to all Casa products. So email them at membership@team.casa, ask them questions, or go to keys.casa/keymaster. Check out their multisig. And we love multisig, and Unchained Capital is also there to help you with your collaborative custody. Our friends that just dropped Caravan last week, the open source desktop app that allows you to coordinate your multisig setup. Actually going to get a demo of that tomorrow. So Unchained is also there to help you guys with your multisig. Their solution makes accessing and administering multisig easy for individuals and businesses alike. Friends don't let friends sell Bitcoin, so they can also help you on the loan side. If you don't want to sell your Bitcoin and you want to get access to cash in a tax beneficial way, you can use Unchained Capital's loan services to use your Bitcoin as collateral for a US dollar loan and hodl your Bitcoin. You don't have to sell your Bitcoin. On top of that, as we mentioned with Caravan, they're working on dope open source projects like Caravan, Slip39, Hermit, and a bunch of other cool stuff. Go to unchained-capital.com. That's unchained-capital.com. Check out what they're doing. Love all of them. What up, Matt?
So I actually, I can't make the demo tomorrow of Caravan. So I actually got a private demo from Phil over at Unchained. I think his last name is Geiger. I might have just fucking butchered his name, but he's fucking dope.
Phil Geiger.
Phil Geiger. He gave me a personal demo 2 days ago. I haven't been able to play with it myself because I am traveling. But the demo was it's an absolute game changer. I mean, this is the start of what we've been talking about. It not only allows you to do that multi-sig on your own without them, which is key because the collaborative custody is a super useful feature. They act as a co-signer for you, but the key there is that they do know your balances. They do know your addresses. With this Caravan, you can do the whole multi-sig setup on your own with your own hardware wallets in an easy-to-use app, and this is what we want, right? This is we had both Trezor and Cold Card vulnerabilities this week or the last week and a half. Multisig really does fix a lot of these issues. So for people to be able to easily use multisig will be a fucking game changer, and Unchained is leading the way here. And I'm very excited for the future apps we see as well.
Yeah. It's slowly but surely. Yeah, like we were saying before we hopped on the mics today, it's been a relatively slow news week. We said that last week too. Last week we said was low-key one of the most bullish weeks in Bitcoin, despite the lack of interest from the mainstream. And I think this week continues that trend. And yeah, even though the price is a little bit depressed right now, people are freaking out. Like you just think long-term, expand your time horizon and look at the fundamentals of what's being built out. And I think it's pretty insane what's being built, particularly in the last 6 to 8 months.
I just think it's hilarious that every time the Bitcoin price falls a little bit, everyone freaks the fuck out. This is what always happens, especially when Marty says it's low-key one of the most bullish weeks we've had of the year. Of course the price is going to drop. I've learned to try and not say that. But yeah, I
wasn't trying to make a price, and again, I was talking about fundamentals. I'm not looking at a TA chart and saying like buy Bitcoin because the price is going up. I'm saying bullish from a fundamental long-term perspective that, hey, these are the type of developments that you want to see happening around this project if it is to be successful in the long term.
No, absolutely. But whenever you're bullish on fundamentals, Bitcoin reminds you that it's a volatile fucking beast and it will drop on you. But long term, price should go up with adoption, and this is why we always say stay humble and stack sats. Right? You should be thinking long term, and you shouldn't. This whole idea that every time it drops, we have to find a reason for why it drops is the most ridiculous concept ever. Like, you're just wasting your time. You're driving yourself crazy. You're pulling your hair out of your head. Don't do that. It's not worth it.
Yeah, focus on the tech, as they say. Price development is important too, and liquidity is very important. But it's a lot of people underscore the tech, I would say, or the developments around the protocol. Speaking of thinking long term, we do have a shout out this week, and it is in the spirit of thinking long term. Fellow freaks, is anyone maintaining a tangible copy of the Bitcoin blockchain and source code? We need paper copies to bootstrap the network following a solar flare, cyber war, 0-day AI attack, large reorg, and other miscellaneous FUD. Blocks should be printed as they are published. Data can be stored in plain text or QR codes. Shout out to Taj Draya for the QR code idea. Love at Bitcoin_lobby. All right, yeah, we should get some physical copies of the blockchain.
Are you actually running a full node if you're not printing out your blocks? I'm not even sure.
I don't know. Yeah, yeah, step it up, freaks.
But in all honesty, like if people around the world, everyone's full node all gets wiped at the same time from some like insane EMP situation or solar flare, like I think we're going to have a lot bigger issues on our hand than, where the blockchain stands.
Yeah, but it would also be good to have that just in case, we get our shit together eventually. It's like, all right, what do we fall back on? Hey, I didn't print out all this paper for nothing. Like, we could revert to this blockchain state at this block height, maybe? I don't know.
Well, I can say that
Wishful
I do
thinking.
have a backup. I do have a backup of my nodes hard drive in my parents' basement in one of those, EMP resistant bags. So maybe that will hold off for us.
Do your part, freaks. Hide copies of the Bitcoin blockchain. Just stash them like a squirrel would stash nuts. You never know when we're going to need to rebootstrap the network. Only you can prevent Bitcoin from going away. We got not that much to talk about this week. We'll start out with BTC Pay, the vault that they announced, and the BTC Pay configurator, which seems pretty dope. I believe Kalkus is that how you say his name?
Kooks. I call him Kooks.
Kooks.
Mr. Kooks.
He's working.
Kukks.
Mr. Kooks is working on BTC Pay configurator, which is basically allows you to set up a BTC Pay instance with one line of code remotely, and BTC Pay has no access to it, so you have full control with the remote machine that you can provide the SSH connectivity details to, so that you can configure automagically. They're very good with their copy here.
Well, it's basically like a guided
It's
setup.
a one line.
You can do it.
Yeah, it's a one line setup basically.
But you can do it locally as well. It's both local or remote. It starts you off in like this nice graphical user interface where you're able to decide how you proceed. I also just want to do like a little disclosure to the freaks. I'm having some trouble with my internet here, so I'm using cell internet to get to you. So
it's okay. You're recording locally.
Yeah, but pardon us talking over each other a little bit. We are doing this remote just to get it to you because it is important.
I think we're doing a good job so far.
The other one is BTC Pay Vault, which looks really badass. It's how to interact with your hardware wallet using your own full node. This is also why Caravan's important, because Caravan, just to go back to the earlier comments about Unchained's Caravan, it defaults to Blockstream.info's node, which is great because Blockstream.info supposedly isn't logging, and I do believe that Blockstream isn't logging your transactions, so that is is a good node to fall back on, but it also has like a little toggle that allows you to easily pick your own full node without like Electrum server or anything like that, which is fucking awesome. So this is what BTC Pay Vault does as well. It uses your BTC Pay node to interact with your hardware wallets. It supports all the major hardware wallets, and it's currently in testing phase right now. So don't use it with a large amount of funds, but definitely help test it out.
Yeah, the BTC Pay team putting the team on their back again. It seems like that project is just growing I mean, we talk about it ad nauseum on this podcast, but we also have something else that came out or became apparent this week. Now there are 5 corporate sponsors in total. Luna Node and Wallet of Satoshi joined Square and Digital Garage, and one other company. I can't remember off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, who's the 5th company?
Let me find it real quick.
We should definitely know the 5th company. Just something to keep in mind is that BTC Pay Vault that we just talked about is Async, ACINQ is the 5th sponsor. The BTC Pay Vault we just spoke about is Windows only right now. They are working to get it supported on both Linux and Mac as well. The BTC Pay in general, we've said this multiple times on this podcast. We've said it on Twitter. I am extremely bullish on BTC Pay. I think it is one of the most important open source projects we have outside of Bitcoin. It's absolute game changer, and they just keep fucking hustling. That team over there is amazing.
Yeah, don't forget we are raising money for BTC Pay via our hat sales at 25% of the Stay Humble BTC Pay hats that you can find in our merch our merch store will be going to BTC Pay server. We are not at the size where we could be a corporate sponsor yet. We hope to one day be on that page, but for now we'll just have to use some proceeds from hat sales to donate and contribute to a project that we love so much. So if you haven't bought a hat yet and you want to check it out, go to tftc.io/merch.
Funny story, my hat is currently sitting in the lobby of my building back home. And I tried to get it before I came to Spain so I could rep it while I was here. So if someone does steal it, I at least have solace in the fact that they will have to rep BTC Pay and the podcast if they do take it. So I got that going for me.
Yeah, and you're going to have to buy another, and we'll donate more money to BTC Pay. It's a win-win-win all around, you know?
There you go.
Yeah. Again, slow news week, but some cool stuff has come out. Coinmetrics and BitMex Research launched a site in conjunction with each other, txstats.com, txstats.com. It's basically the next iteration of p2sh.com, which was a great resource for Bitcoin information. It's a site designed similar to Jameson Lopes' data site that he provides from his node, but you can basically go to txstats.com and check out a bunch of different stats. It's just good information. Bec32 SegWit addresses. Right now, the percentage of Bec32 addresses is like 1.867%, pretty low. Its all-time high was around 2.08%, so it's pretty low. But you get to see it on this site. You can see a bunch of other stuff as well, like who's batching, block statistics, block size, per block, fee estimation. Just seems like a pretty great one-stop shop to get a bunch of data.
Bec32, just for the freaks out there who don't know what that is, that's the BC1 addresses. That's the native SegWit addresses. That's the lowest fee you'll have. The other important thing about that is it is the address type that both Samurai Whirlpool and Wasabi are using. So the more people that use it, the better, because otherwise, you know, it further hurts the anonymity set of our mixing services. if people aren't using Bech32 addresses. So consider switching over to full native SegWit. It'll both save you fees and help out your fellow Bitcoiners in terms of hiding in the crowd.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to try out Bech32. And that's actually, we were talking about Blockstream.info earlier. That's one of my favorite things about their Explorer in particular, is that they sort of shame you for not using Bech32 when you go to check a transaction. It's like, you could have saved a bunch of money if you used a B1 address.
Yeah, it's major savings. It's like 30% or something like that. So consider it. And you need to be using those Bech32 addresses before fees go up, because if fees go up, it's not only the address you send it to, it's where the address, where the transaction derives from, where it comes from. So it's important to have your funds in BC1 addresses ahead of time.
No, and this is actually a great segue into a topic we're going to get to later, but might as well touch on now that we're talking about this. Is it looks like Binance did a huge UTXO consolidation last weekend. I believe a couple of Bitcoiners, Sergey Kotliar from BitRefill in particular, pointed out that the mempool swelled up by 90 megabytes about around Friday of last week, at a very low Satoshi per byte fee. So it looked like somebody was attempting to consolidate a bunch of UTXOs, and he did a little further digging and found that it was, and it seems to be Binance consolidating a bunch of dust UTXOs that were created from their Tether wallet. So apparently the way Tether works, you create a dust output of 546 Satoshis, I believe, per transaction. So Binance being a huge exchange and Tether being one of the go-to stable coins for these exchanges, obviously they're going to have a lot of those dust outputs. And we saw a couple years ago at Coinbase, they didn't control their dust, and it got to a point where fees were high and they couldn't spend like $2 million worth of Bitcoin because it was dust. So it seems like Binance is being proactive here, noticing this, and they consolidated successfully millions of UTXOs over the weekend. And I dug into some of the transactions, not all of them, and the ones that I saw looked like they were consolidating into batches of 70,000 sats at a 1.8 Satoshi per byte fee, and it went through.
Yeah, so two things here. Dust is when the fee, the amount of the Bitcoin transaction fee you have to pay to send them is higher than the actual balance of the individual UTXOs. So as Marty said, like 2 years ago, we got into a situation where Coinbase had a bunch of transactions. They had a bunch of UTXOs that they hadn't combined. And if they were to send them at that point during the fee crisis, they would be basically unspendable because they would have to pay more in fees than the actual UTXO is worth. So we've come a long way in the last 2 years. As you can see, Binance was actually proactive about it, and they wanted to get it done with ahead of time just in case fees rose. And that's exactly what we want to see. The other thing to note here is that a lot of people were, especially Bitcoin cashers, were fudding Bitcoin about having this huge transaction spike in everyone's mempool. The key here is that they were paying, this is exactly why the fee market exists, right? Because they were paying this super low fee. So if you paid 2 sats per byte or higher, you just jumped ahead of them in the queue. If all the smart miners are organizing their transactions that they include per block based on the transaction fee you're paying. So even though there was this 90 megabyte surplus of transactions that all of a sudden hit everyone's mempools, it doesn't actually slow you down if you're willing to pay a fee slightly larger than it, because you just jump them in line. And that's exactly how it worked out. And the Bitcoin network just churned right through it because they did it on a weekend when transactions were low.
Yeah. Binance basically set a low bid for block space, and miners took that bid over the weekend when, like Matt just said, there weren't as many transactions as there would have been during the week. And I wrote about this in the Bent on Monday, I believe, or Tuesday, potentially. I think Tuesday, actually. And yeah, again, like everybody wants this stuff out of the box, and it's hilarious that people are shitting on Bitcoin, excuse me, and saying it's a failed experiment when we're so early. Like the entrenched stakeholders in the space, mainly the exchanges, are still getting their operational side down pat. Like they're still getting their shit together. They don't even have best practices when it comes to UTXO consolidation and being as efficient as possible on the blockchain, like figured out. Like they're still trying to figure that out. So we're still extremely early in this game. And I also said, like, it doesn't make me worry about the long-term fee market developing at all either when you see a Binance taking action like this over the weekend, and then you think about the other exchanges implementing similar practices, and then you see a cascading effect where you just have internal systems where it's if we have X amount of hot wallets accumulate this much sats, and the current fee market in Bitcoin is such, then we're going to execute some transactions to consolidate, and you just have automatic demand for block space being automated almost.
I mean, it's funny because my first thought, after having PTSD from the great Bitcoin civil war of 2017, was I thought this was all spam, right? Like you just see a bunch of low fee transactions hit the mempool, a bunch of FUD. All at the same time. A lot of people were saying
spam attack, yeah.
But this was actually like best case scenario. Like this was the exact opposite. This was like proper UTXO management. This is exactly what we want to see, especially from the leading shitcoin exchange of the world. Is like that's fantastic. They get it. They understand. I give Binance tons of shit. Everyone knows I give a lot of shit to Binance. But they actually knew what they were doing here, and it's really fucking awesome to see. Another thing to note is that Binance is, it appears that most of these exchanges are moving to ERC20, the Ethereum version of Tether, instead of the Bitcoin version of Tether. So this dust situation with Tether usage should decrease. Instead, they're going to spam the Ethereum chain or the Tron chain, which is because Justin Sun of Tron just recently was part of the purchase of Poloniex from Circle. So it seems they're going to use Tron Tether, and everyone else is probably going to be using the ERC20 Ethereum Tether. So we shouldn't have this issue of it spamming the Bitcoin chain as much going forward, which is fantastic. Like that's a great use of shitcoins.
So that dust, well, yeah, but that demand for the fee market will come from other places, right? It's not like we need this. We don't need this Tether dust to create demand for fees. It is just a use case that does create demand for fees, right?
I mean, Tether is it's a security token that's not actually being used. That is not actually complying with security regulation, but it is a security token, and it's got this third party trust issue, which is that you have to actually trust that Tether has money in the vault. So at the end of the day, you're trusting Tether regardless. So it doesn't really need the security assurances of the Bitcoin blockchain. It could just as easily use either of these shitcoins, or it could use a federated chain like Liquid. Which we're also seeing movement towards that because Liquid also has the additional privacy benefits of confidential transactions. So it's not necessary for them to be paying high fees to send these tethers around, because at the end of the day, you're not relying on the security of Bitcoin. You're relying on actually Tether not being fucking,
insolvent,
partially reserved. Yeah.
Yeah. Not a very good point. And I want to. We need to get better data on Liquid. Like, who is using it? Like we've been saying, it does seem like it would be a better avenue for Tether transactions because of confidential transactions, like you said. But are people actually using it?
The down and dirty is that nobody is really using it right now. I think there's about $1.5 million worth of Tether currently on Liquid. I think there's like 80 Bitcoin on Liquid. So there's not that much usage. I mean, just for comparison, like what is Tether at right now? They're like at $4 billion worth of outstanding Tether, and like 1.5 million is only on Liquid. But that could change pretty quickly. You know, they're very much in their own adoption phase. They're trying to shill it to exchanges. They're trying to get traders to use it. But to me, that's neither here nor there. You know, that's very much an experimental project that shows a lot of promise. That has its own security assurances and just settles back into the Bitcoin chain.
Yeah. No, I'm saying, I'm interested to hone in my data sources for Liquid. I haven't been tracking that as thoroughly as I like to.
Well, I mean, since Blockstream is leading the charge on Liquid, it's their baby. You can actually track it on Blockstream.info. So there's a Tether address where you can see how much Tether is outstanding on Liquid, and you can see how much Bitcoin has been pegged in and pegged out. The beauty of Liquid, though, is that it does have this confidential transactions, which means that the amount and the asset type is blinded. So you don't know if you see a Liquid transaction, it looks like a typical Bitcoin transaction. But you can't tell how much is being sent or what asset. So it could be a Tether transaction, it could be a Bitcoin transaction, it could be any other security token, you know, stocks or some kind of faux equity or some bullshit token. You don't know what's being sent. And one of the benefits there, as well as just plain old sending Tether or sending Bitcoin between exchanges, you know, that main benefit where it won't show up on whale calls on Twitter, or people won't be able to track that you're sending it around. There's another benefit there in that it's actually very useful for coin joins, because you can do a coin join regardless of the amount. You know, on the Bitcoin chain, we need it to be the exact amount. You know, everyone has the same exact amount of Bitcoin. We all combine them together, and then they come out the other side. You don't know where it's going. You know, you have plausible deniability there. With Liquid, because they have the confidential transactions, you can do a coin join. You can do a coin join with people who hold Tether. You can do a coin join with people who own some random ass token, with someone who owns Bitcoin. Everyone can do that coin join together, and no one really knows what the hell is going on. So I've been pushing them on the side. Is like, I really want to see like a nice coin join implementation. I think that could create a lot of demand for actually using Liquid. But like I said, it's very early. There's very few user-friendly wallets to use it with. Like the big one right now is Green Wallet, Blockstream's Green Wallet on mobile, which is also, I mean, I think it's the best Bitcoin mobile wallet on iPhone, and it's up there with Samurai on Android. So that is big. But you know, that was a relatively recent addition. So you know, we'll be watching Liquid, but the down and dirty right now is very few people are using it. But, you know, I think it does have a lot of value. There's a big value prop there.
No, I agree. Again, early days. We shall see. We will be keeping you guys up to date on whether or not it does gain adoption. I think we're both bullish on it, though. Back to Coinmetrics and how many Bitcoin have been totally lost. They did a great deep dive into a bunch of data in Bitcoin's blockchain, and basically tried to determine how many coins they think are completely lost as of block 600,000 when the 18 millionth Bitcoin was mined. So the combination of Genesis coins, which is the Genesis block coins, for those of you who don't know, cannot be spent or moved. The duplicate Coinbase transactions, which is about 100 Bitcoin, unclaimed rewards, which is about 28.955 Bitcoin. And there's actually a really cool story behind the first person to do that, who you guys might know him from Twitter, Midnight Magic. In 2011, he donated a Satoshi of a block reward of a block that he had mined to the Ether. So when you claim your block reward in the Coinbase transaction, you can't ever claim more than the current reward, but you can claim less. So Midnight Magic noticed this and claimed 1 Satoshi less than the block reward at the time in 2011. Yeah,
he poured a shout out for his dead homies. It was because Satoshi had just gone AWOL and disappeared. He is at MidMagic on Twitter. So he's still with us, which is fucking dope. Coinmetrics is got one of the best newsletters in the space. Everyone should check it out. The other thing is there's like about 3 million coins that are like presumably lost, but we don't know for sure.
Yeah. So
there's that
to finish
as well.
out like the amount of coins that we know are lost, op return outputs, we've lost about 3.723039 Bitcoin because of that. And so the total supply as of block 600,000, according to Coinmetrics, was 17,999,817 point and 32.32 Bitcoin.
And then there's like another like 3 million or so that haven't moved.
Yes,
right?
Satoshi's coins are presumably not going to move. Who knows? They might one day. It's a good amount. It's about 1 million. Obviously, it was hard to secure your Bitcoin in the early days, and a bunch of people didn't really take it too seriously. So there are hundreds of thousands to millions of Bitcoins just sitting on hardware somewhere, potentially in a junkyard, that people either forgot or don't have the private keys to access.
Like that's a guess. Like why haven't they moved them, right? Like as time goes on, it's like you would expect them to move them to at least to updated addresses, new wallets, stuff like that, and they just haven't been moved. So it's an interesting thing to watch. I mean, my guess is like at least like 3 million are lost. But yeah, that is a guess. Coinmetrics gave the hard number, which is why we love them. They always give the hard numbers.
Yeah. So yeah, if you want to learn a little bit about Bitcoin history, check out this Coinmetrics State of the Network newsletter. In particular, the team there, Antoine in particular, is Don. They just crush the data side of this stuff.
The other thing I wanted to mention is Marty said that MidMagic sent that Satoshi into the ether. He meant the original definition of the ether. He did not. It had nothing to do with the Ethereum project, who then used that for their naming. The other thing,
the eternal abyss.
I want to take this moment to shill a project that I have been very close with, BottlePay. We've taken this slow week to drop a lot of shit ourselves. I am advising that project. They gave me a small amount of equity, and I'm very close with the founders. They're fucking dope. They're both named Pete. I call them Pete Squared. So BottlePay, they launched a developer API. If you guys aren't familiar with BottlePay, BottlePay is like a very useful Lightning wallet for beginners. Everything operates in your browser right now. You could use your mobile browser. You can use your desktop browser. It is custodial right now. So keep that in mind. Use it with small amounts, not your keys, not your coins. We've said that many a time. One of the things that you freaks may have noticed is that they have a very tight integration with Twitter. So you can donate to people or to content producers through Twitter by just going at BottlePay with the amount of sats you want to send, and it links right to your Twitter account and their Twitter account. And if they don't even have a BottlePay account, they can then claim it. They have 7 days to claim it. There was a recent partnership with Tor, which is fucking near and dear to my heart because we love Tor here at TFTC. So you can donate to Tor just right through Twitter. And it's got that nice virality that, you have that like little social signal. One guy's donating. Maybe I'm going to donate. I want to tell people I donate. So that's fucking dope. They just recently launched their developer API to make it really easy for people to integrate it with apps. We have some other big news coming up, which I'm about to tease because this is a very unique TFTC where I am like 5 drinks deep, and I think Marty, it's like noon in New York, so you haven't started drinking.
Still
yet,
drinking
right?
coffee.
He's still drinking.
I have to get a workout in.
He's still drinking coffee. I got a gin and tonic in my hand. So we have some fun things coming. One thing we're calling the Sat Pack. You're going to be able to send a link to anybody, and regardless of platform, whether that's WhatsApp, whether that's Facebook Messenger, whether that's Instagram DMs, Facebook DMs, you just send them a link. It gives them a nice little message, tells them how many sats they got, gives them an explainer about what Bitcoin is. beautiful splash screen, and then they can create their wallet to claim the funds, and now they have a full Lightning wallet. If they access that through their mobile browser, they can even scan invoices and pay directly from their mobile browser. If they want to buy that proverbial coffee with Bitcoin that everyone loves fucking talking about, they can now do that. It's like a couple days. I'm like a little bit ahead of time on that one. We're working on phone number integration, so you can just do it through any SMS. Like, interesting, very, very fucking fun stuff, and that's coming up really soon. We're going to drop the link in the show notes. I had my first video with my face in front of a video camera. You know, you guys, I know you guys have been loving our TFTC Guide series, but I intentionally keep that focused on the product. This time I was actually in front of the camera. I'm a little bit self-conscious about it, but I love you guys, so we are going to drop that link in the show notes where I'm demoing BottlePay to Lee of CoinDesk. She's a great reporter over at CoinDesk. So just a nice little shout out to keep in mind. We're hustling over here at BottlePay.
It's BottlePay. It's like what ChangeTip wanted to be, right? Or just ChangeTip at the right time. It's all about timing, it seems. As an outsider looking in, I mean, you sent me some of these demos. They look dope, and they're very simple to use. So,
yeah, I mean, I think ChangeTip was a little bit too early. They were doing Lightning didn't exist yet. One of the key things about BottlePay is that everything is Lightning. So there's really, even though it's custodial, there's no walled garden. You can easily send in and out through Lightning, pay any Lightning invoice. So I really do think it's a game changer, and I think that specifically like this Sat Pack feature where you can send a link, where we're like thinking about maybe like being able to print out a card that has like a QR code on it. It could be a very exciting way to get newcomers into Bitcoin, and like right onto Lightning Network. And one of the keys with BottlePay is that Sats are the standard, right? So we can bring Sats to Facebook, we can bring Sats to WhatsApp, we can bring Sats all over the fucking place, and these people are going to see Sats for the first time, and that's how they're going to be introduced to Bitcoin.
Are you telling them to make it non-custodial?
Yeah, we're working on it. The idea is that it could be like a full guided experience where you start custodial. Then the idea is the mobile app should be out in like the next 2 months. Before 2020 is the hope. Like I think by the end of the month, like we'll be able to start testing the mobile app. I can get you the mobile app. We can get some select freaks the mobile app. And then once we iron out the kinks, it'll have a full mobile app. And then so you'll have like a Lightning node on your phone. And then, presumably we'll be able to connect it back to your own node if you have a remote node, which would be fucking awesome. So I've been pushing for that very hard. So we shall see. But the beauty there is that there's no invoices, right? Like you're just our identifiers online nowadays are social media accounts. So if you know someone's social media account, you'll be able to pay them with Sats. I really do think that's a game changer, especially since they seem to be doing everything right, and they're just hustlers. They just constantly ship. I poke them and then it comes out. It's insane. They're just fucking dream team over there.
You poke them and then something comes out. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, that sounded a little bit questionable.
I'm kidding. No, it's check it out. And then the developer API is launching too, right?
Yeah, so the developer API is actually launched. Everything else I just teased. I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to be teasing it. So hopefully I didn't get in trouble. Pete and other Pete, I love you guys. Sorry if I spilled the beans a little bit, but I thought a tease was necessary for the freaks. The developer API is fucking dope because it allows basically right now the guy who is testing it out for us is CityLaic on Twitter, crypto.com. He has two major apps you might know him for. He has the, Stellar just did the Keybase drop again, where they gave a bunch of people free, so-called free Stellar. He has an app where it allows you to switch that Stellar to Sats on the Lightning Network, and you have to paste an invoice normally. into there. But if you just link your BottlePay account, he's able to just pull an invoice from your BottlePay account. It just drops right into your BottlePay account. So then if you want to donate to Tor or something, instead of donating them Stellar, which we've advocated for the previous airdrop, and then the Tor Foundation thought that like the Stellar community was donating, you can convert it over to Sats before you donate to them, and you can even give like a little social signal on Twitter, which is fucking awesome. The other thing he has is like he has this alarm clock where if you if you snooze, it pays a sat per second out to whatever account you want it to pay out to. And instead of like doing invoices, you pick what account that's connected to Bottle to do it. So you can like, if I snooze, I donate to Tor, or I donate to him, which I think is like pretty slick. One thing to keep in mind, guys, is like obviously this is linked to your social media, right? So from a privacy perspective, you shouldn't be using it with funds that you don't want linked to yourself. But you know, if you're coming from a KYC service or something like that, that's less of an issue because it's already linked to you.
Again, man, it's crazy. The developments all over the place. So you have that dropping, and then you're huge on gaming too. And we've been talking a lot about gaming, and another dope game dropped on our heads this week. Donner Lab announced Bitcoin Bounty Hunt, which is a first-person shooter game. It was Sats integrated. I bought an ad, so Donner Lab is allowing people that are watching the game to buy ads via an auction system, which was pretty cool. I bought an ad said Sub Freaks, and it was just pretty seamless experience. I'm not sure whether or not that use case in particular will catch on. It was just really cool to hop on Twitch, see somebody post a link, click it, create an invoice, pay it, and win the bid to get my ad up. And it was just a cool Bitcoin experience.
Yeah, and you paid that all through Lightning with Sats, and then that
using
funds.
a Zap.
Yeah, Zap's dope, and that funds the Sats that the players win. My viewpoint here is that online gaming is fucking huge. It's growing. It is the one element of media that it's just outpacing everything else compared to music, compared to video, movies, TV, whatnot. Gaming is blowing up. And from my perspective, this is what I've been dreaming of for the longest time. First of all, the fucking demo looks dope as fuck. Like, it's a true first-person shooter. I love first-person shooters. All these 8-bit games that everyone's practicing with to work on this development is great and all, but like what I really want is like I want some high fidelity. I want to kill some people and take their sats. It's great to see both
Matthew.
Donna. I want to kill some people figuratively through gaming. And it's just beautiful to see like Donner Lab is doing it now. Light Night Game from Satoshi Games is doing it. Like, this is fucking dope. I think I would never play poker. I would never sit down and play poker for 5 hours with my buddies if money wasn't on the line. Money is a key aspect of the poker experience. Why is that not the case with online gaming? The reason that's not the case with online gaming is because of regulatory burden. Like, it's really difficult to roll out a way for players to be basically gambling while they're gaming on a worldwide basis, because all these games are online. It's very difficult to roll that kind of thing out. Sats makes that possible, right? So I think we can see Lightning integration roll out in all these games. The incumbents will not do it first, because they love these little closed loop credit systems they have where people are spending millions and billions of dollars on these games and they can't actually take them out. They're not fungible tokens, but the upstarts will integrate it. And I think players will go to games that actually use real money, the games that have sats in the game and instead of just no skin in the game whatsoever.
Yeah, and if you're able to hook up with whatever wallet you want and have the sat sent directly to your possession on a node that you are watching and have control of, this just seems like a better overall user experience for the end user at the end of the day than some third-party gaming company account. Like this week, it's not on the list. This week we saw one of the founders of PayPal, his Bank of America account was shut down out of nowhere after being a customer for like 30 years or something like that. He's somebody who created PayPal. He's like and he's a partner at Sequoia now, which is one of the biggest VC firms in the world. So if that dude could be censored in that fashion, like, again, these UX flows and just like making that never possible just seems better to me.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, that was beautiful to see. Like, he got what was coming to him after all the years of PayPal blocking everyone. But yeah, it absolutely proves the use case. It proves the value prop of Bitcoin, that Bitcoin is permissionless, that it's very censorship resistant. And the other thing that came out this week was that the actual current CEO of PayPal said that he owns Bitcoin and no other cryptocurrency, which I thought was bullish as fuck. And he doesn't think that Bitcoin competes with PayPal, which is something we've said a lot. You know, is Bitcoin's better money? PayPal's just trying to send money around in a centralized fashion, right? So these two things combined are extremely bullish.
No, that was great to see. Bitcoin alone. He's not interested in anything else. Look for that signal, freaks, those tech billionaires. Some of them get it seems.
Every single time someone gets blocked by the traditional financial system, it is the best advertisement for Bitcoin we could ever ask for.
Yeah. And especially somebody as high profile as the partner at Sequoia, ex PayPal. This isn't on the list, but let's. I think it's high time we give a warning out to the freaks out there about news from China and sources on Twitter. Like, just be careful of who you trust about certain news out of certain countries. There's a lot of misinformation out there. China, in particular, over the years has been a cause for much confusion for me in particular. And while I'm trying to grasp what's going on across the whole landscape in Bitcoin, I've come to the conclusion that there's very few, if any, people that you can trust on Twitter in particular when it comes to good information on what's going on in China.
Well, it's a reputation game, right? So if you notice someone's feeding bad information, doesn't care about correcting it, like, you should keep that in mind. Let's call her out by name. I mean, Dovey Wan was the one who was in the crosshairs this week. She's done this in the past. She's posted incorrect information, and she hasn't corrected it. Not just about Bitcoin. I mean, she did this about the Paris protests. She posted this picture that went viral that was completely incorrect. This week, she posted a video from 2014 of the head of China, with the chairman of China, Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping. Yeah. And it was from 2014, and it was, China bans Bitcoin. And the other thing here is that with all this blockchain hype from China, we did say, I'm pretty sure we said on TFTC that it was a setup. It was a setup for China bans Bitcoin again FUD, right? Like, they banned it so many times, they couldn't keep with the banning Bitcoin FUD until they had the bullish China hype to lead up to a China bans FUD. But yeah, like, obviously China's going to come against Bitcoin eventually, whether or not they're doing it right now. And you should just keep all this shit in mind. Don't take everything at face value on Twitter. Don't trust verify. Be skeptical inherently. And just be watchful. Just pay attention to who is giving you information that checks out, who corrects themselves when they're wrong. We've been wrong plenty of times, but we comment about it. We correct ourselves. We say sorry. We apologize and try and fix our mistake.
Yeah, and I honestly wasn't even trying to call out Dovey personally there, even though what you just said is true. But just in general, again, over the years, the information that I've tried to acquire from Twitter about China in particular, it's very ephemeral. You really never know what's going to happen. Like today, there's rumors that Binance got their Shanghai office shut down. Is that happening? I don't know.
But we don't even know. Do they even have a Shanghai office? I don't even know if they have a Shanghai office. Well, one source that I think has been very credible lately, just
BTC
in general,
King?
for years. No. Well, BTC
BTC
King is like, he has been pretty credible. He was doing a lot of the Bitmain stuff, he or she. No, CN Ledger. CN Ledger has always been pretty
CN
credible.
Ledger, yes.
At CN Ledger on Twitter, English-speaking Chinese outlet, has always been pretty credible. You're not perfect, no one's perfect, but pretty credible. It could be worth a follow. Always good to check to see what they're talking about at any given time.
No, that's actually a very good point. CN Ledger, no underscores, a lot of mimic accounts. They have been one of the few sources of signal out of China over the years.
For years. It's
Yeah.
been a long time. They've been building up that reputation for a while. So if they decide to break it one day, they'll decide to break it. But it's been a long time now.
Yeah. Bitcoin intro, our boy 6102 Bitcoin at 6102 Bitcoin on Twitter just launched bitcoin-intro.com. And I checked it out earlier this week. It just seems like a very good one-stop shop to send people who want to learn about Bitcoin. I like it in particular because he has you set up a wallet and get that set up first. And I think that's a good way to get introduced. Just get into the deep end, spinning up an Electrum wallet, making a seed, creating a private public key pair, doing all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, basically 6102 Bitcoin our dude, he has bitcoin-only.com. That's how you might know him. So he created this as more of an beginner-focused portal. And the idea here is what we've talked a lot about on the podcast, which is that, you come in gradually, right? Like no one expects you to be the most secure Bitcoin user in the beginning, the most educated Bitcoin user in the beginning. But you come in, you get your feet wet, you start to learn, and then you proceed to increase your setup and your understanding of Bitcoin. So it's really good to see, and it just seems like a very nice, clean site. It gives you a checklist, and just guides you through the process. And that's all. He has that all on GitHub. So if you don't like what he's suggesting, you can submit a pull request if you so please. He would appreciate that.
Yes. And yeah, if you're a freak out there listening who's been on the sidelines wondering whether or not to get into Bitcoin, you're looking for a quote unquote hand holding experience, this seems like a very good, straightforward hand holding experience. So yeah, go check it out. Bitcoin-intro.com.
He likes those dashes.
Yeah.
He has all of his domains have the dashes in them.
Cheaper, man. I'm
well aware it works. The other thing is that last week we spoke about the cold card vulnerability. A very similar vulnerability has come out for the Trezor T, which is the newest Trezor, which if you are using a Trezor, should be the Trezor you're using anyway, because the original Trezor, which they're still selling, which I don't really appreciate that they're still selling, because you can't submit a passphrase directly on the device. And if you're using a Trezor or a cold card, really, you should be using it with a passphrase, which is basically a user-controlled 25th word on top of your seed. Had a similar vulnerability. Actually, it was a little bit worse than the cold card, because with the cold card, the vulnerability, as you might remember from last week, was that it would send it to one of your own addresses, but it was in like an obscure derivation path, so it was very hard to find. You might never be able to find your change. Basically, like if you send like a 0.5 Bitcoin transaction, or 50 million sats, excuse me, and the change gets sent back to one of your own addresses, with the cold card vulnerability, it would get sent to an address that you couldn't find it, but it was one of your addresses. So the attacker could ransom it. With the Trezor attack here, it would actually get sent to a one of two multisig. So it only takes one key that the attacker controls one of the multisig keys. So you're actually sending it to the attacker, and the attacker could then take it. So it's easier to monetize. So in both of these cases, you want to make sure you upgrade your firmware. If you have a Trezor T, if you have a cold card, please upgrade your firmware before you send a transaction.
Be aware, freaks. Be aware. the hardware struggles continue, and they probably will never go away. So get used to it.
Well, multi-sig helps here. Multi-sig will help significantly here. So that's why things like Caravan, like very user-friendly multi-sig tools that you can do on your own with a nice graphical user interface with your own full node, so you're not disclosing all your transactions and your balances to some server are so important.
Yes.
But upgrade
So
your
be
firmware.
aware. Yeah. No, and just be aware that if you are a hardware wallet owner, that you need to be abreast of what's going on the technical side, because you have to know what's going on with the latest hacks and stuff like that.
Well, look, I don't want to like scare people too much because like you should upgrade your firmware, and that's why we're bringing it up. But like, I don't want to scare you into storing your coins on Coinbase, because Coinbase can just freeze your account and take your funds at will. It's important to keep in mind here that both of these vulnerabilities are only if your computer is compromised and you're sending a transaction with the cold card, specifically if you're sending a transaction using the SD card, not if you plug it in. And also, it's only your change. So if you're not consolidating all your balances into a single address, so like your full balance is sent back to you as change, you're less vulnerable, right? Because it's only the change that is vulnerable in this situation. And you shouldn't be combining them, because if you combine them, you're hurting your privacy, right? We want you to keep your UTXOs separate and keep in mind your UTXOs. But like if you have your Trezor or your cold card and it's in a safe and it's offline and you're not sending any transactions, like you're not exposed to these vulnerabilities until you actually send. So don't like absolutely freak out and like send them over to Coinbase, because Coinbase can literally freeze your account. And if your government decides that they want to ban Bitcoin one day, like the first thing they're going to do is they're going to send a subpoena out to Coinbase and be like, all the accounts that are from this place, like close them down.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. But even if you are a holder who just is using your hardware as somewhere to store your Bitcoin long term, like if you do go to move it, just make sure you're abreast of the latest, the greatest updates, because you don't want a situation where you have somebody ganking your coins in that Treasure T model hack.
Yeah, I mean, from a user-friendly point of view, one way you can stay abreast is if you listen to RHR, subscribe to the pod.
This is what we're
Keep
here
that in
for.
mind.
Smash that subscribe button. If you guys are liking this, please, we need all the help we can get. Leave a review. Tell your friends. We're trying to make some evergreen content here with the interview series, what we're writing, the tutorials, all that stuff.
The guides, the bent.
Yeah.
We got the new SAT standard. I don't know if you freaks noticed. We got our Saturday weekly.
Yeah. We're going to try and separate those email lists. I'm still working on that. But right now, if you're getting the bent, you're going to get the SAT standard as well. But people have been liking it. Very high open rate, very high click rate, no bullshit, just straight to the point. It's a lot of what we cover here. So if you're listening to this on Thursdays or Fridays, there's a lot of overlap, but there's also some fresh stuff. We give a hot take of the week. You're getting a hot take from each of us too.
You get all the links. It's a lot easier to get the links than the show notes. Get some graphs.
Get that data. We're not done though.
So our buddy Jack Mallers dropped. Not only did he drop, I think last week we announced the newest version of the iOS app, which like 3 hours later he updated again just to make us outdated immediately after RHR. So he updated that again. And now Zap 0.6.0 on the desktop has been released as well. So they've updated the desktop app.
Yeah, and this comes with a lot of cool shit. LNURL, which is improves user experience, allowing users to withdraw from services without the need to create and share an invoice, so similar to what BottlePay was working on. Global password. Zap will require you to enter a password to gain access to the app in the future, entirely separate from and in addition to your individual wallet password. So they're just adding security layers there. looks like they're working with BTC Pay on some invoicing stuff for Bolt 11. They've also got PGP message signing in the desktop app now too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so LNURL is what that awesome ATM that we saw, the create your own ATM by @21 is enough on Twitter. He made it out of a cardboard box. Basically, like, the idea is that you can scan a QR code or copy and paste the code to withdraw on Lightning instead of send, which is a really cool feature. So there's that. That's a really big update there.
Yeah. So go check it out. The Jack and team just keep fucking, again, that's another very important open source project in the space that just keeps producing week in and week out. So shout out to them. Go check them out. And last but not least here, another cool little data site that we found, Matt found in particular, hodl.camp, HODL.camp. It was created by Mutatrum, Mutatrum, Mutatrum. I don't know how to pronounce that.
I don't think anyone knows how to pronounce it, but it's a pretty cool site. It basically shows you if you bought into Bitcoin at any given point. It shows you a little heat map, how long it took for you to be in the black, be in profit again. Basically just reinforcing the idea here that Bitcoin is extremely volatile short term. No one fucking knows where it's going to go short term. It is gambling. But long term, with adoption, the price should go up because it's the world's most scarce asset that we've ever seen. So as more people buy it and self-custody it and bring it into their own wallets with keys that they control, the price should go up.
Yeah. Not guaranteed. This is definitely not financial advice. But if you agree that Bitcoin has the ability to create a network effect and therefore a liquidity pool as a result of that network effect, then yes.
Well, I mean, as Pierre likes to say, Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency that we're sure isn't a security. So we are not violating securities violations by pumping it, by saying that people should buy it. So we do have that going for us.
Yes, but if you are going to buy it, make sure you learn about it first. So come back to Rabbit Hole Recap each week. Not that we're experts or anything. We're just giving you our point of view. Been here around the block a few times. And yeah, these are just our opinions and what we think's going on. We've seen a lot of shit out there. Thank you guys for joining us. We fucking love you freaks. Matt, you have anything to riff on this week?
Yeah, I have a couple of things. The first thing is I just wanted to say we dropped the Bisq episode this week, which is a really good episode. Wiz flew out from Japan for it, which is fucking dope. He's like, I have so much respect for that dude. It was really an honor to have him in the studio. He was joined by Steve Jane of Bisq as well. Bisq, if you don't know, is a decentralized exchange. Probably the most decentralized exchange out of all the so-called decentralized exchanges. It's a very important open source project. We're very lucky to have them. Consider trying it, using it. Listen to the episode. We go over all of this in the episode. It's a 2-hour long episode.
Yeah, and I must apologize to Wiz on the air here for the clickbaitiness of my inclusion of him mining Ethereum Classic in the episode tweet. He's not mining Ethereum Classic now. He was just around when Ethereum hard forked because of the DAO hack, and he decided to continue mining the original Ethereum chain, which is now Ethereum Classic, just out of principle for the open source decentralized ethos. That was a pretty cool story, so go listen to it.
Yeah, I mean, the only person who took shit from that was Dieter Bob, and he doesn't actually listen to these podcasts. So, if you are listening, Dieter, you can comment on this tweet and let us know you are listening. But I don't think you're actually listening. Otherwise, you would know that there was no shit coining going on there. The other thing I wanted to say was we have Ergo BTC on Twitter. He's been doing a lot of chain analysis. Friendly chain analysis on the Plus token scam. which was this like Ponzi-esque scheme. So he has a theory that that the Plus token guys have been dumping Bitcoin on Huobi, which is a Chinese exchange or an Asian exchange. I don't even think they're based in China anymore, but they originated there. So we're going to link to an interesting thread there that is something to keep in mind. But as I said, like trying to point to specific reasons why the price goes down in the short term, I think is a fool's errand. It's not something that you really should devote a lot of time to, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like short term is gambling, long term is a lot better bet, and that's the bet that I'm making, that Marty's making, that a lot of us are making. So,
yeah, this was a fun one, dude. Hour 10 minutes, got a lot in for a slow week. I think it flowed pretty well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, as always. Again, we are raising money for BTC Pay. We're not going to be a corporate sponsor yet. We want to be in the future. So if you guys want to help out BTC Pay, help out the podcast, go to our merch store, check out that BTC Pay Stay Humble hat. We'll probably just run that through the end of the year and then give them the proceeds in January. I think that sounds good.
Well, the more you buy, the sooner we'll give them the proceeds. Like if it hits like a large number earlier, then we'll give that to them right away.
Yeah.
You know, it's a sexy hat. Like that hat was born in a Riga bar at 3 a.m. with me, Pavlinex, and Rockstar Dev, where I was like, he was like, "Why don't you wear the BTC Pay hat?" I was like, "Because it says BTC on the front, and I don't like walking around with hats that say Bitcoin on them. So I want a nice OPSEC-friendly hat." And he was like, "So make it." So then we went out and we made it. And it's got this nice B on the front. It's their logo. It says Stay Humble on the back. It's nice OPSEC-friendly. And, you know, at the end of the day, stay humble, stack sats.
Yeah. Peace and love, freaks. Hope you enjoyed this week. Smash those subscribe buttons. Tell your friends.